is Mr. John Doom, and I'll be teaching JSS2 Basic Science. And the topic we'll be discussing is chemicals based on quantity produced. Chemicals based on quantity produced. Remember, in our previous lesson, we discussed chemicals, and I told you chemicals are substances that could be in a solid, liquid, or gaseous form. And we also discussed classification of chemicals. And we mentioned based on hazardous nature, based on use, and also based on quantity production. And we discussed based on hazardous nature. But today we'll be discussing the chemicals based on quantity produced. And based on quantity produced, we have A as heavy chemicals. Based on quantity produced, we have one group under based on quantity as heavy chemicals. And then 2 or B, we have what we call fine chemicals. These are the two groups under quantity produced. And under the heavy chemicals, these are chemicals which are produced or made in large quantities. These chemicals basically are made or produced in a very large quantities. They are useful, and these are chemicals that day in, day out, living things, especially humans, need it. And these chemicals are produced in a very large quantity. One example of these heavy chemicals, we have what we call ammonia. Ammonia is a chemical. And this chemical is used in production of explosive devices. Devices that are explosive. We use this ammonia. Very, very good. Especially in the military weapon. We have explosive devices that need this ammonia. And without the ammonia, find it very difficult to produce explosive devices. And you have grenade, is explosive. You have bomb. All these ones are explosive devices. And then another example under the heavy chemicals, we have what we call tetraoxosulfate 6 acid. Tetraoxosulfate acid. I call it again. We have tetraoxosulfate 6 acid. That is another chemical which is used in production of soap. Soap that we use in bathing. And that is why these chemicals have to be there in a very large quantity, because soap is in demand. So that is the two examples under the heavy chemicals. And then the second one is fine chemicals. And these are chemicals that are produced in a relatively small amount. They are chemicals that are produced in a relatively small amount and to a very high degree of purity. They are in small quantities but to a very high degree of purity. Example, we have drugs. All drugs are made and they have to be all pure in nature. These are the two groups under chemicals, under what we are discussing as chemical based on quantity. You either produce heavy chemicals or fine chemicals. And the fine chemicals, as I told you, they are explosive. And then the fine chemicals, they are pure, and which I gave you example as drugs. So these are the two types under chemicals based on quantity production. And in the next video, we'll be discussing chemicals based on usage.